everybody, welcome in. It's episode 200 of the JRPG Report. My name is James Fisher. Thank you so much for tuning in. We don't really have anything special planned for this episode. It's not really my style to pat myself on the back too much, but it is a cool milestone, and I am extremely humbled and honored to have made it that long. We got plenty of news to talk about. Don't get me wrong here, but let's just start off this podcast, and I just want to quickly let's just look back and throw some stats out there at you, and maybe just peek into the world that is the podcast. Now, long-time listeners, like our friend Jeff out there, who's been with us since the beginning, will know that we started back in 2016, so going up on our 6th year. Of course, now we do it, a podcast every week. That wasn't the case in the beginning. It's been so long ago, I don't exactly remember, but I'm pretty sure it was once a month at the beginning. We thought that wasn't enough. We went to every 2 weeks, and then eventually down to one. Now, if you listen to the podcast and you scroll back through the episodes, you'll notice that we start at episode 44. Now, that is because I switched over to Anchor to host the podcast at that point. I was with a different service, a service that actually charged me to put the podcast out there, and it was not cheap, let's put it that way. Anchor did it for free, and even for a while was paying me through their little Anchor ads that we played every once in a while, but I don't do that anymore. So I've got those files somewheres backed up. I can't seem to locate them. One of these days I'll get it on so you can listen to all. So these stats are just for episode 44 through 200. So all time we have 46,205 plays. I think that's a pretty cool number. Estimated there's about 225 people that listen on an every week basis, sometimes a little higher, sometimes it's a little bit lower. Listeners to this podcast are all over the globe. Primarily, it's the United States, coming in at about 66% of listeners. So if you are outside the U.S., kudos to you. Canada, we've got 7% up there. The United Kingdom, 6%. Then we've got listeners in Germany, Australia. I guess if 1%, that'd be like one person. Spain, Sweden, the Philippines, Argentina, Brazil, even somebody in Japan. That's pretty cool. Italy, Russia, Netherlands. Oh gosh, what country is not listed on here? So yeah, I'm not going to go through all of them because it looks like every country in the world is listed. But there you go. Most of you all listen through Apple Podcast, about 39%. Other is the next one. I don't even know what that means. You know better than I do, I guess. Spotify, about 16%. Podcast Addict and Pocket Casts are the most popular way to listen to the show. A lot of dudes in the audience. About 88%, according to Spotify statistics. Who knows how accurate that really is. And most of them are aged 28 to 34. And of course, that is the segment that identifies themselves. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are not. The 23 to 27 age category is the next highest, about 27%. And then old folks like myself that are 35 to 44, it's about 19%. We do got some older, about 2% for the rest. And even some youngins in there. Appreciate our young listeners. That's awesome. About 5% of the crowd is under 22 years of age. And all this time, the most popular podcast, according to the numbers on Anchor, was episode 46. So going way back there. And that was our Dragon Quest XI First Impressions podcast or thoughts. I'm not exactly sure which one it was. That was about the time that the podcast came back. It was kind of the inspiration for zinging back to life with episode 44. The next one was our Looking Forward to 2021 special, when Jordan came on the podcast. That was episode 146. That's over 400 plays. Let's see some of the other ones. Our Sunday special where we did the Persona 5 soundtrack. That's a very popular one. My top 10 JRPGs of all time, episode 122. Popular one. And back in episode 167, when we talked about Dragon Quest XII getting its first reveal, that was also a very popular episode. And then last one I want to talk about, our last popular one was episode 152 when Dalton came on and we had our Nintendo Direct reaction. So yeah, just a little bit of a peek behind the curtain into some of the numbers behind the podcast. And of course, we would not still be here at all without the not only every week listens from every one of you, but our supporters over at I was going to say over at Anchor, but we don't actually do that anymore. We're just doing Patreon, trying to keep things a little simple. So if you've been listening for a long time, if you've considered financial support of this podcast, I would greatly appreciate it. We've got 9 amazing individuals over there that get me fired up each and every week. You can, as little as $2 per month. You probably won't even notice it. If you go to Starbucks once a week, it's way less than that it costs you. So I would really appreciate if you could find the time to do that. And we'll keep this thing going. I don't know what the next milestone will be. I guess 250. But appreciate each and every one of you guys listening to me ramble on about news and happenings. And we've got a bunch of stories to talk about here as we get started with episode 200. All right, let's get into the news of the week. It was a pretty good week for news. We've had some down ones here recently, so this was kind of fun to get back into the swing of things here. Didn't really know where to start with it, so it's kind of good that we had the little opening there, because I didn't know what to put for the thumbnail anyway. But let's just go here. And publisher Xseed Games in Marvelous Europe. This is a brand new trailer and screenshots for Rune Factory 5. This actually just came out a few moments ago. Here is an overview of the game via Xseed Games. Set off on a grand adventure in a fantasy world with the latest entry in the Rune Factory simulation RPG series. After losing their memory, the hero lands in a small town blessed by nature. They are recruited into an organization of peacekeeping rangers known as Seed, and their new life begins. Any correlation there? Xseed Games publishing this, and Seed is the Rangers, and it's actually capitalized SED, just like X. Anyway, in addition to their normal duties of helping villagers, investigating rune-related mysteries, and rounding up rowdy monsters, leisure activities bring an equal amount of entertainment. Whether it's spending time growing crops on a dragon's back. Yeah, you heard that right. Embarking on fishing expeditions, prospecting the mountains for ore, or participating in local festivals. There are countless ways for Earthmates to relax after a hard day of adventuring. Relationships that players foster with townsfolk provide additional depth to combat with brand new link attacks, or at home with the newly introduced co-op cooking feature. As players grow closer to the 12 eligible merit candidates, they learn more about them through unique storylines. They can even propose to their true love and begin a family of their own. Love knows no boundaries, and for the first time in the series, Earthmates can choose any one of the 12 eligible marriage candidates regardless of gender. The stage is set, and the curtain rises on a new adventure in Rune Factory 5. Here are the key features. Adventure awaits. You can saddle a monster mount and head out into the vast, vibrant wilderness and explore tranquil forest, ancient ruins, and even the inside of a volcano. You are a gardener guardian. Choose from 7 weapon types and fight alongside up to 3 companions. Then swap them for farm tools and grow a variety of crops with monster farm hands. There's never a dull moment. Compete in cooking, crafting, and fishing contests, or invite a sweetheart to join you for a stargazing and flower viewing during one of Rigbar's many seasonal festivals, and even find that someone special. Date one of 12 eligible marriage candidates, learn more about them by completing their unique storyline, and then pop the question and start a family. Rune Factory 5 is available now for Switch in Japan. And March the 22nd, it'll be coming to the Switch in North America. And March 25th in Europe. Like I said, there was that new story trailer that came out for this, some screenshots as well. I've mentioned this before. I got no problem with this game, but these kids look like they're 12. And the idea of seeing them getting married is just, it's weird. I'm sorry, there's no other way of putting it. Not that, I don't know how they would do that. I guess it's always been a part of the games, but it is odd to see such young people getting married. Anyway, on to our next story. Atelier Sophie 2, they got a new trailer came out for it today. It shows some of the battle system and then shows off the photo mode. So these are two features. Of course, the photo mode is coming back. That's been in some of the Ryza games. New details regarding general gameplay and combat for Atelier Sophie 2, the Alchemist and Mysterious Stream, has appeared. The photo mode will be available, which allows players to position characters and monsters to take screenshots. That could be kind of interesting. Additionally, several gameplay features for Sophie 2 have been outlined in full. This includes the return of the multi-link turn-based battle system and a break mechanic. During gameplay and combat, feature that will appear in Sophie 2, the inclusion of the dual trigger system. This will allow players to perform joint attacks involving special moves once the dual trigger gauge has reached its max. As mentioned previously, some monsters will have a special aura the players can break to gain additional turns. That sounds pretty fun. Players can break these auras by targeting an enemy's weakness. Additionally, certain monsters can appear on the field that are capable of changing the weather of an area. They're calling this, in this battle system, they're calling it a seamless battles, and they begin at the spot at which you attack the enemy. In these 6-character turn-based multi-link turn battles, you can combine 2 teams of 3 characters in the advance guard and 3 characters in the rear guard to enjoy more strategic combat. Face off against powerful enemies with dual trigger, a special move unleashed by 2 characters teaming up. Sounds pretty cool. In the photo mode, you position your party members as well as friends you make in Roytail and the monsters you encounter. Since you can choose their poses and expressions, you may even be able to create a variety of photographs with just one idea. Cut out a scene from your adventure and photograph it as a memory. They put this in there as well. There is no built-in screenshot function in photo mode. To take a screenshot, please use the console or Steam's built-in screenshot functionality. So I'm not messed with that one too much. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but there you go. I thought I'd pass it along to you. Atelier Sophie 2, The Alchemist of the Mysterious Dream, is due out for PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC via Steam on February 25th in Japan, and we get it worldwide. February 24th in Japan. We get it on February the 25th. So as I'm mentioning these new trailers and screenshots, you can see all those as we are speaking during the video version of this podcast. For the longest time, you've heard me mention, hey, if you hear this new trailer, just go over to our YouTube page and you can view that anytime. Not surprisingly, YouTube is not approved me for monetization because we repost these trailers on there for you to view. They say that is reused content, which of course it is. I'm not arguing against that fact, but we're going to make one more attempt at monetization using things we do for the next 30 days. That's when I can apply again. But that means that if you want to watch the trailers that we talk about, either you'll need to find the links on our social media page or watch the video version of the podcast. They're not going to be available on their own, and we're going to see if YouTube likes that or not. If they don't, then it'll just go back to usual, and we'll just kind of forget about YouTube paying us a couple pennies a month. But just wanted to throw that out there. If you've been used to that, I'm sorry, but we're gonna try something new and see if it works or not. Thought this was an interesting article. If you listen to mine and Jordan's Tales of Arise spoiler cast, was it last week before? Yeah, I guess whatever it was. You'll know we talked a little bit about the animations in Tales of Arise. I'm not going to spoil anything, just that the fact that there is a new Tales of Arise video coming from ufotable. This is according to series producer Yusuke Tamazawa. He says the new animation will want to make players revisit the game. Additionally, major story spoilers will appear in the animation. Not shocking in that regard necessarily. The animation itself will be fairly short rather than a full-length production. There's currently no estimate for when this animation will come out, only is described as coming soon. This is very interesting. Obviously, you want players to come back and play your game, maybe even spend some money on some DLC, but there is no post-story DLC coming for this game. That was previously announced, as well as the fact that there will not be a sequel for this game. So it's interesting that they want people to come back when there's not necessarily anything additional to purchase. That's usually what you would see is we're going to put something out there to hype people up to get them to come back and play the post-content DLC. Put some more money towards it. There's plenty of things to purchase in Tales of Arise, don't get me wrong. Tons and tons. But not content. So, I'm looking forward to it. The animation was pretty good. I don't feel like it was quite, I don't know. There was hits and misses. I liked that there was more of it, it seemed like, than usual. But maybe not quite as impactful in certain segments. So yeah, once I see or hear this new animation, I will pass it on to you. Since it is since there's major spoilers in it, I will try my best not to say anything other than it's available if you'd like to check it out. Hyperdimension Neptunia, Sisters vs. Sisters, will feature 2 new mascot characters in the form of Team Shanghai Alice and Higurushi when they cry. Apologize before and after for my pronunciation of these. The first inspired by the Touhou Project developer, and the second by the visual novel series, the latest issue of Weekly Famitsu revealed. The following characters were revealed in the magazine. First is Anri, a calm and composed creator. She evacuated after the incident occurred on the PC continent. There's Moho. She loves smartphones. Henry picks her up whenever she collapses. She produces surveillance equipment and is working hard to understand the buzz-over phenomenon. And then there is Higurushi shot when they cry, a friendly girl from the PC continent in search of all things cute. She tends to try to take home cute babies and distinctive sculptures. I hope she's not stealing babies. That's not a good idea. Team Shanghai Alice is an uncomplicated type from the PC continent. She is earning a daily income from the buzz-over phenomenon. She's earning a daily income after the buzz-over phenomenon ruined her journey. And then there is Gray's sister, an unknown CPU that holds the key to the story, and the culprit who put Netgear and the other CPU candidates to sleep for 2 years. Not sure what to make of this. Just know that these are characters that are going to be showing up in this new game. There is also a heartful photo mode that will allow players to take photographs in various situations. Chirper returns with enhancements. Its appearance is more social media-like. Battles are real-time, and you can swap characters in and out of your 3-member party. Hyperdimension Neptunia Sisters vs. Sister is due for PS5 and PS4 on April the 21st. of this year in Japan. No word on a Western release date just yet. I'll just say that I shared this story on our Facebook and Twitter page. It was an article from Siliconia on the Legend of Naitu and its PC release. If you're interested in how that game has been updated from its Vita version, how it's looking, how it's going to look, perhaps when it comes to consoles later this year, or is it next year? It's available on PC, PS4, and PS Portable in Japan. And no, it's not coming out until next year. So, yeah, there's ways to play this game, but in the West, you'll have to wait a bit longer to play it in English 2023. But there's always ways of getting it early, especially the older games like that. Coming up here real soon is Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is coming to the Switch on January the 28th. So just a few more weeks for that. There's some new media out for it. First, it was a new trailer that dropped showing off the Haisu region. And then just today, Pokemon Company and Game Freak released a 13-minute gameplay preview trailer. It's not really a trailer. It's more of a... It's a long trailer. Let's put it that way. You can check out those links and check it out in full on our Facebook and our Twitter pages. I'm not exactly sure what to make of this game, so here we go. Just keep in mind this is from Idea Factory, so you kind of know what you're getting. East Asia Soft will release 7 Pirates H for the Nintendo Switch via the eShop in spring of 2022 worldwide. Publisher announced it will include English and traditional Chinese language options. Pre-orders are available through the PlayAsia site starting today. A standard edition will go for $40. A limited edition for $60. 7 Pirates H will include all prior downloadable content from its previous released Japan-only Vita title 7 Pirates, as well as a, quote, enhanced high-definition presentation, end quote. In Japan, the game is due out on February the 3rd, so I have to wait just a little bit longer to get that out. So it sounds like a mature title. Join the young pirate Perut Kairi and boy monster Oten in an adventure to locate the lost treasures of the Monsupi Sea. Determined to make a legendary name for herself, Perut sets sail with a magic compass and the aid of newfound Monster Girl companions. But what starts as a raucous romp across uncharted islands gradually reveals something more sinister. Though there are colorful encounters with rival pirates and locals in need, Perut and company will learn some unsettling truths about the king who governs these waters, all leading to a confrontation that could tear their adorable crew apart. 7 Pirates H is a traditional RPG focused on exploration and discovery with a gigantic dose of fan service thrown in. If you are seeing the opening movie that's playing during the YouTube version of this, as well as any of the screenshots, you'll say, hey, that's Idea Factory. And our friends at Compile Hard. And B, you're like, yep, that's fan service. As Perut, you'll command your party of monster girls in combat against naughty enemies, exploring weaknesses to gain the upper hand in turn-based combat. Adventure across islands in 3D and ride Alton in search of secret areas. Gather items and enhance your abilities as you level up. With the special booby training system, oh Lord, you can control the bust size of your all-female crew for stat boost, bigger for increased power and defense, or smaller for improved speed and agility. What are you guys doing? Oh man. Just when you think Idea Factory couldn't throw any more fan service, you get something like this game. And it's coming west, so I'll report on it. That's I don't even know sometimes. Oh man. Yeah, so I'll let you know when we get a definite release date on that one. Might not talk about that one again, so we try to be a little more family friendly. Sorry about that one. Some Final Fantasy 14 quick update. Well, one update and one thing coming out. During the Radio Mog station broadcast, FF14 director and producer Naoki Yoshida said information regarding future updates that will eventually lead to patch 7.0 will be revealed in late February. Additionally, he mentioned that Thancred and Kryl will become prominent figures in upcoming story updates. Yoshida also noted there will be several drastic updates that will be coming to the game leading up to the patch. However, he did not elaborate as to what that could potentially be or when players could expect to see the update. So, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things you knew the patch was coming, but yeah, it should be coming out later next month. If you are loving Endwalker, in particular the sounds of it, the soundtrack will release on February the 23rd of 2022. Alongside several pre-order bonuses, players will be able to obtain a... I feel like we need to buy a vowel in this name. The Vitra minion, VRTRA. I feel like I need an I in there somewhere. From the included in-game item code, the Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker OST is immediately available for pre-order through the Square Enix Online store in Japan, North America, and Europe. Pre-order bonuses include a special sleeve case. The soundtrack will feature a total of 42 songs, including the Endwalker theme song. It will cost $54.99 in North America and $39.99 in euros in Europe. The OST will be available on a single Blu-ray music disc. It will feature the Endwalker music video. Additionally, there are good videos from the FF14 Digital Fan Festival, Korean and Chinese Fan Festival events. A special chiptune version of the Endwalker theme will come included with the soundtrack. So there you go. So if you're loving it, it's get on February the 23rd. You can get that whole soundtrack if you are so willing. In other FF news, the Final Fantasy VII remake version of Ifrit will get a brass statue. It will cost about $116 and be just about 2.5 inches tall, so not very big. It will ship on May 14th of this year. Each figure will come with an individual serial numbers. Pre-orders are available now through the Square Enix store. Up to 10 statues can be purchased per person. This thing is very, very detailed. I'm very sad that it's a small little brass statue and not something more like an action figure, but maybe they're going for something a little different. Figure they got enough action figures out there. But yeah, it looks pretty cool, but yeah, tiny, 2.5 inches. Tiny little Ifrit in your pocket. There you go. Bravely Default, the mobile offshoot game Brilliant Lights, will launch officially in Japan on January 27th. So coming very soon. There is also a digital play manual on the official website that explains the premise and mechanics of the game. We've talked about that a little bit here on the podcast. Now, the game is only coming out in Japan as of right now. There is no news on a Western release for this game, although with it coming out in just a couple weeks, once it's out in Japan, if it's going to come to the West, I feel like we will get some more information about a possible Western release at that point in time. I think the game looks pretty cool, and we'll just have to see if it makes it outside the country or not. Got a few more things to talk about as we wrap up episode 200 here of the JRPG Report. Rise of the Third Power will rise. It'll launch on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam on February 10th. Publisher Denjin Entertainment and developer Stregosoft Games announced. We talked about this one a little while ago, but yeah, it's coming. This is here are some of the key features about this one. You can join a party of 8, each with their own unique ambitions, perspectives, and personalities, as they embark on a suicide mission to topple the Emperor Dmitry Norskov. A blend of humor, drama, and tragedy await players as they navigate the treacherous world of Ren. There's political intrigue. As the world of Ren recovers from the Great War, the balance of power remains badly skewed, with vacuums of power still waiting to be filled. The player's party will be both beset and aided by schemers, liars, and betrayers, all while the clock ticks down to a reprise of the greatest war in human history. There's a custom battle system. Rise of the Third Power offers 8 playable characters in a battle system built from scratch, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, all of whom are meant to participate in battle simultaneously without the need for tedious party management. Combine each character's unique powers and disadvantages, analyze the abilities of your foes, and set forth your formation and charge into battle. And there is persistent equipment. Each piece of equipment found, purchased, or stolen is a permanent, unique upgrade for the character. Instead of purchasing replacements, the player purchases upgrades. No more buying that awesome helmet back in town only to stumble on a better one as treasure in a dungeon. Each character has 3 equipment slots with 8 upgrades each, with 192 to find in total. This system avoids the tedium of inventory management, while also giving the completionist something useful to hunt for. I kind of like that idea. The only thing that's perhaps worse than the buying that new shiny helmet and then finding a better one in a dungeon moments later is when you have to actually grind for equipment, to get money to buy that new item, and then you either find a chest or it's dropped moments later in the next dungeon, and it's that exact equipment that you were, the exact same piece of equipment. Like, you didn't need to buy it. It was right there. If you just would have waited a few minutes, that's frustrating. Yeah, that's almost as frustrating as getting a potion in a treasure chest. That's not treasure. Like, that's staring equipment, or like cooking items. That's not treasure. Give me something useful. Anyway, the game looks pretty cool. Like I said, coming out on February the 10th to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, and PC via Steam. So we'll keep our eyes on that one. Got 2 more little things to talk about. I shared a article on our Facebook and Twitter page. It was an interview with Scarlet Nexus developer. What's the name? Kenji and Naboki. And they kind of talked about the game's storylines, the ensemble of characters, and the anime adaptation. Now, it's a rather long article, so I won't get into that here, especially if you haven't played the game. You don't want to get anything ruined, but you can check that out over there. There is a brand new figure to order. This pre-orders just opened up for this from ArtFX J. You can get the figure for Kasane from Scarlet Nexus. The figure recreates Kasane wearing her default shinobi battle attire, down to finer details such as the suit's various tubes and wrapping. The 1/8 scale figure will cost about $134 and will ship sometime in June. She's one of the 2 main protagonists of the game. It's about 8 inches tall. It comes with its own stone tile stand. The figure includes Kasane's handmade hair clip. Her battle attire also features detailed fabric textures and tubing made of semi-transparent material. Her throwing knives also appear to float near her billing scarf. Very cool looking figure. A little pricey. That's certainly not cheap, but it's a good looking figure. Looks like it's of quality, so it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you a few dollars. So the last little fun article I wanted to throw in here, just to kind of give a few more minutes to the end of the podcast. We're at episode 200, so I thought it was kind of fitting. Jake passed this along to us over on the Twitter page. And this is not all of them, and maybe it's forgetting someone along the way, but here are some of the longest JRPGs of all time, according to thegamer.com. Obviously, there's 2 ways of looking at the length of a game, in particular, our JRPGs. You have how long does it take to get through the game. Sometimes that's a minimal amount of time. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. And then you have how long does it take to do everything? Platinum it. They call it the completionist time. So that's two different categories of how long something will take. The first one, number 10, they're going to say is Saga Frontier, being with 7 different stories to play through. Can take quite a while. It's about 15 and a half hours for the main story, one character only, about 92.5 hours for the completionist. They say the idea of playing through 7 different stories in a JRPG already means the game is going to be quite lengthy. Saga Frontier definitely doesn't dispel this notion in the slightest. The non-linear nature of the game might not be for everyone's taste, but still makes for some entertaining times regardless. Fans of long and unique JRPGs will feel right at home with the Saga Frontier series. Next up on the list is Disgaea 4. About 36 hours for the main story, 125 hours if you want to do everything. The Disgaea series is infamous for featuring titles that take a long time to complete. This is especially true if players tackle the in-game challenges present in them. Disgaea 4 certainly doesn't disappoint in this regard. The game features a lengthy story coupled with massive amounts of post-game content that will keep players busy for a while. So obviously, I'm sure in your head by this point, you're trying to think, what was that JRPG that took me forever, it seems to beat? Maybe we'll talk about it here in just a moment. Number 8 is Final Fantasy XII. About 40 hours to get through the game, 103 hours to do everything. While most Final Fantasy games are pretty long, their runtime falls short of some of the more hardcore games around. However, FF12 is an exception to this rule, mainly due to the sheer amount of content present in the game. Fans who want to complete all the main and side content will be occupied for hours on end. The Zodiac Age adds that sentiment up a notch by adding way more content to increase its already long runtime. Number 7, Yakuza Like a Dragon. About 44 and a half hours to get through it, 99.5 for the completionist. When the fans of Yakuza series found out that the 7th game was going to be a JRPG, the reception was fairly mixed. After all, the combat present in the games was fairly engaging and didn't really need to be changed at all. However, Like a Dragon did a brilliant job of introducing both a new protagonist and several gameplay systems. It's a great game that can take quite a few hours to complete. Number 6, Star Ocean The Last Hope. 46 and a half hours for the main game, 116 for the completionist. Well, I'm getting kind of tired of reading these descriptions of games. I like the list that the gamer put together here, but not really surprising. You guys have probably played most of these. So let's just get through this. Fire Emblem 3 Houses, about 49 hours to get through it. They're saying 196 hours for the completionist. Obviously, there was some post-content DLC, so I figured that does the game have DLC or not? Because that's obviously going to add time to it. And is it a special edition of the game or not? We're going to get to a title here in a minute that ratcheted up the length even more. I can absolutely attest to this game taking forever to beat. The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4. 70 hours of main story. That'd be really flying through the game. I don't know how you could be properly leveled and get through that quickly, but sure. Then 147 hours for the completionist. I am not a completionist, but I'm also not one who runs through it. I kind of like to do it. With side quests, it's always been a deal like if I'm enjoying what I'm doing and it adds value, if there's something to the whole ordeal, I want to experience it. 147. I don't think I was quite there, but it was pretty close. I was thinking I was in the, I was definitely over the 100, like 120 in this area. Now, if you guys have listened to the podcast for a while, you know how many hours I put into Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Not all of that was doing things. It was definitely trying to get all the blades. But they're saying Xenoblade Blade Chronicles X takes about 69.5 hours to get through, about 270 hours to complete. So that's about how many hours I put into part 2. I still hope that they bring X over to the Switch. I didn't get to play it on the Wii U, so it's definitely something they'll need to address at some point in time. You guys knew it was coming at some point in time here. I guess they could have put all the Personas on here, but they chose to just go with Persona 5 Royal just to get through the main story, 103 hours. And if you want to try to do everything, close to 144. I did not do everything, and I was still closer to 144 hours. I said it before, the game felt like it had about 20 hours too much in there. They could have wrapped it up a little bit sooner. Long game. Fantastic. As long as 5 took me to play through, then I played through it again on Royal. Such a fantastic game, but man, that was a long one. Number 1 is, and if you're just looking by the numbers, it may not be quite that much, but Dragon Quest VII comes in at 106 hours for the main story and 264 for the completionist. I got about halfway through this game on the 3DS, and it kind of fell off for me. I wasn't as hooked, and it's really the only Dragon Quest one that I haven't played all the way through, so maybe that's why. Maybe it's a bit too long. They do say the 3DS version shaved off about a fourth of the game from the PS1 version of it. But yeah, as I was going through this list, I was trying to think of some other ones that may have been remiss on here. And I mean, obviously, like Persona 4 is a long one. It's not on here because I guess they just wanted to take, one entry from each one. I definitely put the most time into something like Dragon Quest VIII, but that's because I played it multiple times and did absolutely everything. 11's the same way. It's a super long game if you try to do everything in it. But yeah, those are some long games. We like to play very long video games and get our money's worth out of it. I guess that's the whole idea. But that's going to wrap it up for episode 200. Hope you guys have enjoyed. We kind of look inside the podcast at the beginning and then look at some of the longest games in history. If you've got one that was not on this list, not my list, so don't yell at me. But if there's one that you felt like should have been on this list that took you forever to try to get everything on there, make a comment on the YouTube video. We'll be glad to have a conversation thereabouts. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Give us a like over there. Follow us on Twitter. You get update information each time one of these articles comes out. I post it over there. And if you really love what you're hearing, give us a support on Patreon. I really would appreciate that. The links are in the descriptions below. But that's going to do it. Till next time, get back out there and level up.